Hare. Part 2. Who was not with us for part 1? Too bad. Where we ended up, where did we end up? This is chapter 13 that somehow comes after chapter 12. And chapter 12 comes after chapter 11. And there's a whole series of very nice pastimes of Krishna and a sequence of childhood. So we heard yesterday that this pastime of Krishna was when he was how many years old? How old was Krishna when this pastime took place? He's with the calves. They're not with cows yet. He's still very young. How old? 3 years, 4 months. 3 years, 4 months. 4 years, 4 months? 4 years, 4 months. How old are you? No, this little boy, this year smaller. 9. Good for you. Cut you in half and you're about Krishna's age. So we heard they're playing and they're playing and they're playing, they're playing and they're playing. This is after the killing of the Aghasura demon. And what happens after the killing of a demon? Time for lunch. They didn't even have breakfast yet, but they had their lunch. So, and they're seated by the side of the river Yamuna underneath a big shade tree, and Krishna's pointing out, he's just a little boy pointing out the beauty of the forest and the sounds of the birds and the sounds of the living entities and how nice it is. And they're very peaceful until the next episode happens. The next episode that happens was that Lord Brahma saw all this. Lord Brahma, on his swan carrier, was zooming up above, and he saw this amazing event, and then saw these boys enjoying like anything. And Krishna is the supreme, he's a pure devotee. He knows who Krishna is. But he had a little memory lapse, and he started to wonder, what's the extent? Is there a limit to the power of Krishna? And so, what did he do? I know. What did he do?
He told the calves and the cowherd boy to see if Krishna could find them.
Yeah. And Krishna acted as if he couldn't find them. As if there's commentary that says, what's he going to do? Is he going to cry? He can't find the cowherd boys and he can't find the calves. He's gonna cry. What's he going to do? And after placing them in the cave, he came back to the scene of the crime to see what's Krishna going to do. And that's where we left off. So this headliner is Krishna expands. So here's what happened. Thereafter, just to create pleasure for both Brahma and for the mothers of the calves, that's the cows, and the cowherd boys, Krishna, the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, expanded himself as calves and boys. As many boys, how many boys? We all heard this yesterday. Asankhya. How many is that? Too many to count. Sankhya and asankhitaha. Sankhya, counting, 24 elements. Asankhitaha, far more than 24. So many you can't count them all. And it's that many calves too. We had this nice discussion. Where do you fit all those calves and unlimited and all of that? So here's Krishna with his newly expanded cowherd boys. And then little subtitle from our acharyas, Krishna's reasons beyond reasons. Like Achintya Shakti, inconceivable potency. In order to show his power of illusion to all people, even up to Balaram, because as you remember, Balaram's not here. Balaram wasn't kidnapped. No way. So Balaram wasn't present because it was his birthday. There's different explanations, but his birthday. So it's a nice pastime on Balaram's appearance day. In order to fulfill the desires, isn't spelled right, desires of the gopas and gopis to have Krishna as their own son. So the parents of the cowherd boys, they loved their children, of course, and they loved Krishna even more than they loved their own children. Not so, of course, but of course, because he's Krishna. And their children aren't Krishna, but so they love their children. They love Krishna even more than their own children. They desire to have Krishna as their son. Don't put your finger in your mouth. In order to bewilder Brahma and I left my glasses. And throw him into the ocean of dismay in order to show him, that's Lord Brahma, thousands of forms of Vasudeva, the object of Brahma's devotion, having taught him the Bhagavatam. Very clever. You learn Srimad Bhagavatam, and then you show the personality of Godhead, and not only one, but thousands, and has asankhitaha forms of Vasudeva. Krishna took the form of all the calves and boys, each one. And we'll hear some details about how that looked. To give bliss to Lord Brahma, this is again Vishwanath, and the mothers, he expanded himself into both the calves and boys. He could do this because he is the master of the Mahatattva, which creates the universe. Well, if he can create the universe, he can create calves and can create cowherd boys. But they were very special calves and very special cowherd boys. They were in exact likeness. This is from the verse. By his Vasudeva feature, Krishna simultaneously expanded himself into the exact number of missing cowherd boys and calves with their exact bodily features, their particular types of hands, legs, and other limbs, their sticks, bugles, and flutes, their lunch bags, their particular types of dress, and ornaments placed in various ways, their names, ages, and forms, and their special activities and characteristics. This is not commentary, this is verse. By expanding himself in this way, beautiful Krishna proved the statement, Samagra Jagat Vishnumayam. Lord Vishnu is all-pervading. So there, in case you're a impersonalist and you think he's all-pervading means something else. Checkmate to the impersonalists. So Achintya Veda Tattva philosophy, this is Prabhupada commentary. He can expand himself in more forms than one can imagine, yet he does not fall down. This is a different achyuta than we heard yesterday. From his original form as Krishna, therefore, he is called achyuta. Clear? Okay. Krishna thus proved that he is everything, that he can become everything, but that he still is personally different from everything. That is Krishna. Ved Abed, simultaneously. Now the rendering of Ved Abed, it has a simple form, and this is a little more involved in a simple form. Ved Abed has a lot to do with the three: Prakriti, the living entity, the jiva, and the controller, both. So the Prakriti is from him, therefore not different from him, but different from him. Living entities are from him, not different from him, but different from him. So that's like the simple form. Now here's like another level. Everything, the universe, and within the universe, he can expand unlimited universes, and he can expand himself unlimitedly within each universe. Not just the forms that look like him, but forms that look like each one of the cowherd boys and each one of the calves. So identical that their mothers didn't detect for a whole year, this isn't my son, this is something else or somebody else. They didn't detect it at all. The same voice inflection, the same everything. Personality, everything. Everything. Complete replica. And as many cowherd boys as there are cowherd boys. How to understand such mystical Krishna? Therefore, again, this is commentary, Srila Prabhupada. One must learn about Krishna from the acharyas, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who follows the path of the acharyas knows things as they are. Such a person can know Krishna as he is, at least to some extent. And as soon as one understands Krishna, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, one is liberated from material bondage. Sounds really simple. How come it's not so simple? You're all liberated. Sprinkle some holy water and wow, I feel liberated. Somehow. Now this is the perspective of the expanded cowherd boys. They appeared like normal boys, though they were the greatest, filled with eternity, knowledge, and bliss, or they had bodies greater than that of inferior Brahma. All the limbs, including head, hair, nails, odor. Without glasses, I'm having a hard time. Voice and complexion were similar. Very nice painting. Their ornaments and internal qualities like peacefulness, talkativeness, skillfulness were also similar. Sanatana Goswami. Their qualities like compassion and their names or words and actions were similar. Prabhupada's saying identical, and here he's saying a little softer, similar. And more. The expanded boys' memory of the boys' previous interactions with their parents were the same. Wow. They weren't robots either. One could not distinguish in any detail between the spiritual bodies he made and the original boys, because the boys were always his eternal devotees with spiritual bodies. Wait a minute. What's he saying, Sanatana Goswami? He's saying that the cowherd boys, they have mothers and fathers, but their bodies are spiritual. And they were these, Maya form of those cowherd boys were the ones kidnapped. And so they were identical when Krishna manifested them. It doesn't say where the real ones went. The real one disappeared somewhere. But the Maya cowherd boys and calves went in the cave. And the original ones, they were just like poof. They just became unmanifest. And then Krishna manifests these other forms. Okay. So we're going to get Brahma getting astonished pretty quickly. Beautiful paintings. All of them were actually Krishna himself. All these forms were forms of the Lord. Vishnu Mayam. Maya means having the essence, having the essential nature of. Vishnu indicates the nature of spreading everywhere. Vishnu. The all-pervasive Vishnu. By being all these separate forms, Krishna was both different from and not different from them. I'm sure you understand all this. But he's teaching, he's not having a Bhagavatam class, right, right in the pastime with Lord Brahma, who taught him Bhagavatam. And now all of this, next verse, now expanding himself so as to appear as all the calves and cowherd boys, all of them as they were, at the same time appear as their leader, Krishna entered Brajabhumi, just as he usually did, while enjoying their company. So it looks like the end of the day. You're coming back with the calves. And now here's what's going to happen with the people that are receiving. Krishna then entered different cowsheds as the calves, and then different homes as different boys. And here's the reaction, first from the ladies. The mothers of the boys, upon hearing the sound of the flutes and bugles being played by their sons, immediately rose from their household tasks, lifted their boys onto their laps, embraced them with both arms, and began to feed them with their breast milk, which flowed forth because of extreme love, specifically for Krishna. So they were loving their sons, and they found something that was going on in their hearts that was a little different than the love for their sons. The mothers took care of the boys by massaging them with oil. These ladies are very fortunate, bathing Krishna this way. Bathing them, smearing their bodies with sandalwood pulp, decorating them with ornaments, chanting protective mantras, decorating their bodies with tilak, and giving them food. It's a nice painting. A beautiful painting of Krishna. In this way, the mothers served Krishna personally. Actually, Krishna is everything, but at that time, expressing extreme love and affection, they took special pleasure in feeding Krishna. The Para-Brahman. And Krishna drank the milk from his respective mothers as if it were a nectarian beverage. He's having a good time, as they are also. So motherly gopis' affection and the cows for Krishna remained as before, but the love for him had been greater than their love for their own children and calves, which is quite extraordinary. But now, when Krishna became their sons and calves, their love for their sons and calves became equal to that for Krishna for a whole year. What a pastime. all the cows entered their different sheds and began mooing, calling for the respective calves. When the calves arrived, the mothers began licking the calves' bodies again and again and profusely feeding them with the milk flowing from their milk bags. So attention goes from the mothers to the cows. While pasturing atop Govardhan Hill, the cows looked down to find some green grass and saw their calves. Uh-oh. From the top of Govardhan Hill, they forgot themselves and ran towards their calves with great anxiety, each running as if with one pair of legs. Have you ever seen cows run? Yes? It's really awkward. Because they have these big, heavy milk bags, and they're not gentle ladies. They're, but they sometimes run. It's really awkward. But when they will run, to get out of the way, because there's a purpose for their running. And so they're running down the Govardhan Hill because they see their calves, they see Krishna as their calves. The cows had given birth to new calves, but because of increased affection for their older calves, namely Krishna, they allowed the older calves to drink milk first, which isn't the rule. But with Krishna, it's okay. For 1 year, their affection for their own sons continuously increased, for Krishna had now become their sons. In this way, Krishna continued his pastimes for the whole year. Nice painting, Krishna Balaram looking really happy. The cows and calves and everybody looking really happy. Now here's the cowherd men. They come in the act. Because they saw they're herding the cows on top of Govardhan Hill. The cows start running down to the bottom of the hill, seeing their calves, because they're with the boys. And, stop. They didn't stop. The cowherd men, having been unable to check the cows from going to their calves, felt simultaneously ashamed and angry. But that changed when they saw the boys. When they came down and saw their own sons, they were overwhelmed by great affection. Experiencing great attraction, their anger completely disappeared. They forgot everything. As you see, they're embracing their sons like anything. Krishna and Balaram are standing there watching all this happen. And Balaram starts to get, the little light starts to go on with Balaram. We'll hear about Balaram. Since the cowherds were elderly, it was not possible for them to become bewildered in intelligence by a short separation from their sons. However, it happened at this time. They constantly remembered Anusmriti, their sons, after ceasing the embraces. What does that mean? After ceasing. Oh, they embraced them and then they couldn't stop thinking about them. Now here comes Balaram. What's going on here? One day, 5 or 6 nights before the completion of the year, Krishna, tending the calves, entered the forest along with Balaram. An indefinite number of 5 or 6 days, Jiva Goswami comments, is mentioned because Sukadeva was bewildered by prema. It happens. It's okay. There's Balaram, look at him. When Baladev saw this attachment, he was unable to understand the reason for it. What is this wonderful phenomenon? The affection of all the inhabitants of Vraja, including me, is increasing as never before. Who is this mystical power. Where has she come from? Is she a demigod or a demoness? Is it the illusory energy of the Lord? For who else could bewilder me? So Krishna clues him in. Thinking in this way, Lord Balaram was able to see with the eye of transcendental knowledge all the calves and Krishna's friends were expansions of Krishna. The light went on. By Yogamaya's influence, Balaram realized this, and the other cowherd men even now did not realize this. Little curtain pulled back just for him. Krishna didn't reveal this to Balaram till now because he did not want Balaram to suffer any separation from the boys for 1 year, the boys that were in the cave. Now, by Krishna's will, Yogamaya gradually withdrew her covering from Balaram. Lord Baladev requested Krishna, these boys are not devatas or sages, O Lord. Now, I can see that you, although one, manifested into many calves and boys. Please explain this to me. So Krishna explained everything. Oh, one of your pastimes, huh? Okay. And now comes Lord Brahma. We have 20 slides left. His bewilderment takes a while to get sorted out. After describing the bewilderment of the cowherd men and women, the bewilderment of Brahma is described. There he is, flying in his swan carrier, above the cowherd boys who are having their lunch and the whole thing. Brahma returned after a moment of his time, which was a complete year according to human measurement, according to his own measurement. Lord Krishna was engaged just as before in playing with the boys and calves for expansions. You understand relative time, right? You understand relative time? Okay. A moment, a short period of time. Brahma's time passed. And that's Brahma's time. On earth, a whole year passed. So he came back after a moment, but a whole year had passed. Relative time. However, Balaram was not there. Krishna told him the secret. It did not bring Balaram to carry out this pastime, the Lord Brahma pastime. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said it was his birthday. He had to stay home. So there's the cave, down on the lower right. There's Brahma going back to the scene of the crime to check out what's going on. Maybe I took those calves and cowherd boys away, but now they have been taken back from that cave. This is what happened? So he went back and looked in the cave, and there they were in the cave. Went back to the scene of the crime, and there they were having lunch with Krishna. Where have all these boys and calves that I see come from? Are these the ones bewildered by my Maya? So we had this little discussion yesterday. Brahma can do all kinds of things. One of them, he has potencies. He has mystic potencies. He has bewildering potencies. They're small compared to Krishna's, but he has. Brahma tried to figure out the two groups, one sleeping and one playing. Which of them was the real group of the original boys and calves, and which was the false group? He's bewildered. Thus, because Brahma wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord Krishna, who can never be mystified, but he wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord who, on the contrary, mystifies the entire universe, he himself, that Brahma himself, was put into bewilderment. And there's this Bhaktivedanta purport, the glowworm and the sunlight. It's actually a verse, but Prabhupada explains it this way. So the glowworm, where does the light from the glowworm come from? From the sun. What's the amount of light in the glowworm compared to the light of the sun? Insignificant. Some. When you see, you've seen glowworms or firefly. This is not a glowworm, it's a firefly. Zoom, 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 zoom. They don't crash each other. Somehow they have a radar system, and when there's a lot of them, they move fast, right? You've seen? I remember one time I was visiting in Villa Vrindavan, Italy, and it was with Madhu Sevata, and he took us down to see the cowshed, and there was this gigantic bull. This guy was really big. And he even before we came, he was like making these noises as he was breathing really heavily, and we came. He started making heavier noises, and it was this steam was coming from his nostrils, and I thought, Agasura. And it was getting to be nightfall, and then all these fireflies were zooming around. It was really like a light show. It was a really interesting experience, unforgettable experience. I forget lots of things, but I don't forget that one. Let's go back. They had a lot of, they take good care of the cows. Villa Vrindavan. While Lord Brahma looked on, all the calves and the boys tending them immediately appeared to have complexions the color of bluish rain clouds, and to be dressed in yellow silken garments. Now that's just the cowherd boys, not to speak of the forms of Vishnu Murtis. So as the painting shows, for each, so there's all these calves and all the cowherd boys that are Ansankitaha, and each one of those calves and cowherd boys manifested a form of Narayan simultaneously. The big crowd. And then each one of those forms of Vishnu had bangles on their ankles, ornaments on their feet, sacred belts around their waists, garlands of forest flowers and kastuba gem around their necks, marked with the 3 lines of the conch shell, the emblem of the goddess of fortune on the right upper portion of their chests, 4 arms holding conch shell disc mason, lotus flower, armlets on their arms, bracelets on their wrists, earrings on their ears, helmets on their heads. That wasn't it. It keeps going. They wore fresh, tender garlands of tulsi leaves offered by the sadhakas to deities using their minds and actions. The brightness of their smiles made the moonlight lament. They looked forward with pink eyes, which fulfilled the desires of their devotees, worthy of his mercy. His affection, which maintains the devotees, is in Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental. So these forms of Vishnumurti, or Narayana forms, they were maintaining their devotees with Shuddha Sattva affection. Now, the cowherd boys aren't thinking, oh boy, I'm safe now because Lord Narayan is just standing right behind me and looking after me with his Shuddha Sattva affection. They may not realize that, but that's what Brahma saw. All those Vishnu Murtis are surrounded by all the, so there's a long list. This section of the Bhagavatam is like a long list of, if you want to know what those different potencies of Narayana are, read that section. There's lots of names, your head will spin. Lots and lots and lots and lots of numbers. All the opulences, and by the 24 elements for the creation of the material world, headed by the Mahatattva. they were being worshipped by various living entities according to their capacities, with various means of worship, such as dancing and singing. Not over yet. Then Lord Brahma saw that Kala, the time factor, Swabhava, one's own nature by association, Samskara, reformation, Kama, desire, Karma, fruit of activity, and the Gunas, three modes of material nature, all worshipping the Vishnumurtis. It's pretty crowded, pretty noisy, and that's not it. Keep going. Then Lord Brahma saw the Supreme Brahman. At the same time, he saw the calves and the cowherd boys as the Lord's expansions. And all the personified Vedas, doesn't say this yet, personified Vedas, the personified Vedas were hovering somewhere in there and singing the hymns of the Vedas. Big orchestra, cacophony of sound. Ooh, ooh. Lord Brahma, his 11 senses jolted by astonishment and stunned by transcendental bliss, became silent. I wanted to see the extent. Okay, thank you very much. Lord Krishna, understanding Brahma's position, that at once removed the curtain of his Yogamaya. Lord Brahma's external consciousness then revived, and he stood up, just like a dead man coming back to life. Opening his eyes with great difficulty, he saw the universe along with himself. He's probably toasted. He asked for it. Then, looking in all directions, Lord Brahma immediately saw Vrindavan before him, filled with trees, which were the means of livelihood for the inhabitants and which were equally pleasing in all seasons. Beautiful painting. Vrindavan is the transcendental abode of the Lord, where there is no hunger, anger, or thirst. Though naturally inimical, both human beings and fierce animals live there together in transcendental friendship. So when demons come, they're like, there's no place for demons in this place, so they get finished quickly. After seeing this, Lord Brahma, you see in the painting, he got down from the swan carrier, fell down on the ground like a golden rod, and touched the lotus feet of Lord Krishna with the tips of his 4 crowns on his foreheads. Krishna with his little couch stick is giving his blessings. Offering his obeisances, he bathed the feet of Krishna with the water of his tears of joy. Rising and falling again and again at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna for a long time, Lord Brahma remembered over and over the Lord's greatness he had just seen. Then, rising very gradually and wiping his eyes, his head bent low, his mind concentrated and his body trembling, Lord Brahma very humbly began, with faltering words, to offer praises to Lord Krishna. Thus ends chapter 14, 13 heading for 14. Next. See you again next visit. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, if one intensely absorbs his mind in various arguments, opinions, and their respective literatures, then all realizations attained through samadhi are practically lost. This is called illusion, based on the flowery words of the Vedas. he makes this comment in his Krishna Samhita. Being overwhelmed with this illusion, Brahma had doubted the supremacy of Krishna. The Vaishnavas should regard this illusion as an obstacle. And that's the end, and we're ready for chapter 14 next week. Brahma's prayers. They're really beautiful. Now, I don't know to what extent we'll go through this. It's long. It could take several sessions. Let's see what happens. But it's very beautiful prayers, very elevated prayers. Some are especially well-known, Tattenu Kampam, Susamikshimano, etc. Well-known verses. But he built the universe. Scientists and people can do some amazing things through manipulating Prakriti in this way, that way, learning the laws of Prakriti and making things. Some amazing things. Build the universe. He didn't even go to school. Chief engineer, no engineering professor. Just, chanted his mantras. He heard the Bhagavatam. And he realized it. So he's a very powerful, amazing personality, and Krishna short-circuited him. And now he's going to offer his prayers. So to be sure, they're very erudite and elevated and eloquent and, to the point. So let's see if there's some discussion. You have something. You're very enthusiastic. Just can we get the microphone? Because there's some people online. That's not for us to know. Not too close, because it's there you go. There you go. It's on.
Yeah.
Just adjust the volume. Go ahead, speak so he can adjust the volume.
Sure. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for explaining this wonderful pastime. One question that I have is when Brahma, every day of Brahma, Krishna appears only once. So will this pastime happens on every day of Brahma?
Every day. It's
so
fun.
he'll be forgotten about this pastime and it happens again?
Of course. Variation on the theme.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj.
And Krishna doesn't, we heard yesterday, you were with us yesterday, that these Shukadeva Goswami is appreciating that Maharaj Pariksit, maybe that was different class, Maharaj Pariksit appreciates, Shukadeva Goswami appreciates that Maharaj Pariksit has such enthusiasm to hear Krishna's pastimes. Although he's heard them again and again. He knows Krishna, but he just hears them, it's ever fresh. So, the next question is, does Brahma remember what happened yesterday? Does he remember? I did this yesterday. Why is it happening yet again? We don't have the answer to that. It's ever fresh. Whatever it is, it's ever fresh. And Krishna is enabled to cover Brahma so he can remember or forget or whatever makes the pastime nice. I'm used to that question. Does he remember every day? Anything else? Yes.
Got it. Hare Krishna Maharaj. What does it mean, the flowery words of Veda? What does it mean? Can you give some example or expand on that, please?
Not about an example, but just the meaning. The meaning is Samaveda is especially sweet. So there's just the sound itself. What to speak of for connoisseurs of the Vedas, for even people not connoisseurs of the Vedas, the sound is very sweet. So there's a sweet, it's sweet. And the sound is also flowery. That means it's decorative. Flowery words of the Vedas. So it gives richness to the narration of the absolute truth, so much so that one may be more attracted to the flowering language than to the essence. That's my understanding of the intention of the flowering language of the Vedas.
Thank you, Maharaj.
It's just like sometimes poets, they say things that are flowery language, and it's may for them it means something because they're writing it, but for people here it's like what's this guy talking about? It's too flowery for me. It's poetic and beautiful, but not so easily discerned. Flowery.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned that Brahma is a pure devotee, right?
He's a what?
He's a pure devotee?
I didn't say that.
No, okay. No, okay.
He's an elevated devotee, but he's a mixed devotee. He was a pure devotee, he'd be in Vaikuntha, he'd be in Goloka, he'd be with the cowherd boys.
Yeah.
He's not there yet.
Okay.
He's a very elevated devotee.
Yes, that was my question here.
Okay, I figured it. I'm used to the preamble of questions leading the question.
Hi Krishna Maharaj. Looks like in this this pastime, Brahma has done greatest mistake because he has separated Gopakumar.
He messed up with Krishna's pastimes. That was not nice.
Yeah. So comparative to Brahma,
What about us?
no, Lord Lord Indra in
He messed up too. Big
yeah,
time.
but actually in that Govardhan Lila, at least all the Gopas and Gopikas, they all were together with the Krishna, but in this he has separated Gopas from Krishna for 1 year. So is it not a big mistake?
That's a big mistake.
So
He got spanked.
okay, he got punished. So I was thinking, like, did someone, Gopas or Gopakumaras, they cursed him, cursed Brahma, or I just want to know.
What was the reaction for his
Yeah,
mistake?
because
That's what you want to know.
he separated actually for 1 year, 1 solid year. So
But he facilitated a pastime of Krishna. It wasn't just he was a bad boy. He facilitated a pastime. The pastime was the ladies, the mothers, wanted Krishna as their son. The cows wanted Krishna as their calf. Brahma facilitated it. Now, it could have been a different way, and a number of different ways, but he facilitated Krishna's pastimes according to the indication of Krishna. He did according to the indication of Krishna. It was a mistake. No, did you get that little document that was circulated? Are you part of a WhatsApp group that gets little documents that get circulated? Okay. See him, and he'll add you to... See this young man over here, because he sent it out. You just have to be on the list. But he'll now send it to you, and then you'll be on the list for future. There's a little pastime. Gopal Hari asked yesterday evening, and I did a little homework, and it's in Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma, you've heard of that book? Jaiva Dharma is a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it's a retelling of 4 essential books of Vaishnava literature. And in the glossary of that, Jaiva Dharma, there's the word Antardweep. Antardweep is one of the islands in Navadweep, one of the 9 islands. It's the center one, Antar. And Antar means concealed or hidden. So there's there's in Antartweep is the place where Lord Brahma felt very repentant for his big mistake, and he took the birth of Haridas Thakur in a low birth to repent, and it's an exercise of constant chanting of the holy name to repent for this big boo-boo. So Haridas Thakur is Lord Brahma. Chronologically, the stealing of the calves and cowherd boys prior, subsequent, Haridas Thakur, Brahma became Haridas Thakur in constant chanting of the holy name. So if you may have wondered, I've wondered, where did Haridas Thakur get the holy name anyways? Because he's born in a Muslim family. So who was his guru that gave him that mantra that he chanted incessantly? It doesn't say in Jaiva Dharma or any writing that I know who gave him the mantra, but he had a propensity for chanting the mantra like anything, in great repentance for his mistake. So consistently, particularly Bhaktivinoda Thakur refers to Haridas Thakur as Brahma Haridas. He's Lord Brahma. Now it's not like Brahma put a little notice up on his door and said, out to lunch, went to earth to take birth as Haridas Thakur, see you later. It's not, so an expansion of him, a partial expansion of him, an angsa of him, entered into the body of Haridas Thakur. That's the understanding. You feel better now. You look worried for a while. But it was facilitating a pastime. And under, he, although he's not a pure devotee, he's under the influence of the Lord's not illusory energy, he's the Lord's of the internal energy, and the illusory energy did the illusory energy thing so that the pastime could happen. Okay. Someone else. Gopal. Okay.
Harbo. So I've heard that for jivas in higher planets cannot go to the spiritual world like Dev does, Brahma, stuff like that. So is that true? Because right now we just learned that Brahma sees Krishna every day. He
Well, he
became
can
Haridas
see, but he's
Thakur.
not participating. We read Srimad Bhagavatam every day. We chant the holy name every day, but we're not experiencing, are we? I mean, maybe some of us are, but most of us aren't. But so the opportunity is there because of the kindness for you and for me and for us sadhakas. There's some kindness extended. So he's like in the stage of sadhana. He's not the stage of prema and bhava. Lord Brahma. But Krishna lifted him up, and he experienced again and again and again, and tears in his eyes, and falling like a rod, and again and again and again. So, but he's not. He's seeing isn't the same as directly participating in. We discussed this a little bit yesterday. Is a little bit from yesterday. There's a stage above the sadhana stage of bhakti. There's two more stages. You know what those two stages are? Bhava and prema. Sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti. In Rupa Goswami's writings, bhakti, rasa, amrita, sindhu, there's three divisions. Those are the three divisions. Sadhana, bhava, prema. In those more elevated stages, there's intense, to the point where the person becomes like a mad person, mad woman, mad man, to get direct association. So Brahma is not in that position yet, although he's able to see. This question came yesterday. How can the demigods see? Because they're mixed devotees. They're not pure devotees. How can mixed devotees see? How can we're mixed devotees. How can we hear and chant and remember? We do sadhana. In that stage, there's the option to be exposed to the non-different from Krishna features, the deity form, the name, the Bhagavatam. We should minimize that they're non-different than Krishna. And it's appropriate, it's mercy for sadhakas to have that direct experience with Krishna. And so Brahma was able to see, but sorry, Charlie, you could, can't play with Krishna like the cowherd boys can. Does that help?
Yeah, Maharaj. I think my main question was that because he, like we just mentioned, he became Haridas Thakur.
Yeah.
So obviously Haridas Thakur was like a really, really, really great devotee.
He was a really, really, really great devotee, yes.
So then, how come Brahma, since he took birth as Haridas Thakur, can't go back to Godhead in this life?
Who, Brahma or Haridas Thakur?
Brahma.
Well, he became purified, but where does Brahma go after this life? That's a nice question, and there's the answer to that question is it depends. And some this, and some that, and some the other. They're passage. I can't remember the details of the destination of Brahma after this lifetime, and then the subsequent Brahma for the next lifetime after this Brahma, or the next cycle of the next creation. That was her question. What's the qualification to become Brahma? Big qualification. But so your question is, where does he go after this life? Some may go back to Godhead, but not during this life. He's got a service to do, and he's a mixed devotee. We're mixed devotees, and we have some service to do. What's our destination? Depends on our consciousness, doesn't it? Does that answer your question?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. So some Lord Brahmas may go directly back to the spiritual world. Some may not. And what happens depends on their consciousness. For all of us sadhakas.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Yes.
Maharaj, just to first follow up with his question, if in this day of Brahma becomes Narad, Brahma becomes Haridas Thakur, and he becomes a pure devotee, he's highest devotee, then in the next day, he must be a pure devotee. His coming into illusion, wouldn't it be just Krishna's plan? Because if they're the same person, then if he's a Haridas Thakur, then wouldn't he have ecstatic love for Krishna in his next day as Brahma?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying after Haridas Thakur left this world and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his funeral rites and did what he did, then Haridas Thakur, the Angsa of Lord Brahma that became Haridas Thakur merged back, because that's what happens at the end of, like the end of Krishna's pastimes.
Yes.
Some of Krishna's pastime, when Krishna sent the members of the Yadu dynasty back, some went here and some went there.
Yes.
Not all went into the unmanifest stage. There's three destinations. Eternal associates became unmanifest. Some descended from the heavenly realm as devatas to assist Krishna's pastimes. And guess what? They went back to become a devata. And that was like scratching my head. Wait a minute. They've been with Krishna. But, it's like Nalakuva and Manigriva. They went back to the kingdom of Kuvera, but they're now pure devotees. They're not like, mixed up fellows anymore. So those that joined Krishna's pastimes, and similarly, Haridas Thakur, when the Angsa of Brahma went back, what happens to Lord Brahma? He becomes elevated, but exactly what that means, I don't know. Do you? I don't. Maybe somebody knows. As Nirmala Mataji says, it's above my pay grade. but benefited for sure. And then comes the next question, his question. Does this happen every day? Didn't he learn a lesson? Come on. You got all this mercy and everything. Does he make the same boo-boo again? Every day of his life? He has a long day. Okay. Yes, I see your hand.
Last year during Gita Nagari retreat, you explained, while talking about Dvivida, you explained that Dvivida originally is one of the Avarana deities
Yes.
of Ramachandra, and then
Yes, I remember.
when
Very
he
well.
came, there was also, so his expansion came, and there was also conditioned soul of
Yes.
Dvivida.
Yes, yes.
So, in the Rupa Vilas Prabhu's book of Namacharya, he explains that Haridas Thakur is a combination of Brahma,
And?
Prahalad Maharaj, I don't remember the third one. This one.
Go ahead.
So can we consider that Haridas Thakur is also one of the Avarana deities of Lord
No, we
Chaitanya?
can't assume anything like that.
Okay. Okay.
Because that means something. This term, that I spend a lot of time on it, so it's very clear. Avarana deities means in the spiritual realm of Ayodhya, they're worshipped along with Lord Ramachandra, and as kind of like on the side, or that it's part of the worship of Ramachandra in Ayodhya. They're there, these two. And an angsa of them came, as was the plan, as Lord Ramachandra, as was asked by Lord Vishnu to descend and deal with Ravana. So an angsa, or an expansion of so many personalities, including these two, appeared. And so they're in this world as angsas of the personalities in the spiritual world. So your question is it possible? It's possible. We can't conclude for sure anything like this. That Haridas Thakur, Lord Brahma, or anything. How do we know that? As our acharyas say because it's from Scripture. We can't just get some bubble gum and stick it to the topic and say, look, it fits, huh? Maybe. Maybe not. Nice try. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I was thinking when you were showing those slides about Lord Balarama, how come he doesn't know what happened?
Yogamaya?
Yeah. So I think Acharyas explained nicely, saying that even Krishna doesn't want Balaram to.
And Balaram does according to what Yogamaya indicates. That's, although they're equal, they're not equal. It's Krishna's Yogamaya.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah, my question is about the timing of the pastime. Krishna was 4 years, 4 months.
Yeah.
Is that right? So, but I think we are hearing from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, is Balaram's birthday. So I was just.
I can't answer that question. I don't know how the chronology of when his birthday was in 4 years, 4 months.
Generally, it happens one week before Krishna's birthday.
Which means coming soon is Krishna Janmastami, right? That's the inference. And that if that's the case, then it tells us, now where did that 4 years, 4 months come from? Hari Parshad Prabhu. What source did he reference to come up with that number? I don't know. If you really want to dig into it, you can go right to Hari Parshad Prabhu and ask this question. Maybe he has the answer. But the inference of what you're saying, if it's his birthday, then Krishna's birthday is coming up. So maybe it was in the fall, just before Krishna's birthday. Maybe. But a whole year passed, and it was 1 year, and then another year, and he wasn't around. So chronologically, it would mean whenever the next pastime is after Brahma's prayers, it's 1 year. It's like 5 years and 4 months. Let's see. I haven't memorized the chart that he created, but I know that he's very particular. He doesn't put something in writing unless has scriptural support. You have something? Yeah. There's someone back behind you also. No? Go ahead.
Maharaj, just wondering, the Brahma's Agasura pastime and the Brahma's, was it on the same day because
Yes,
Balram's birthday was the same day?
Yes, same day. Same day. Same day. This pastime is the same day. It's a long day.
I had another question also. Brahma is our godfather of Sampradaya.
Yeah.
And you said he is not a pure devotee, he is an elevated devotee.
He's pure enough. Charanishta, you have something?
Well, we don't. I mean, we've discussed a lot about Brahma already, but I did find it interesting. Prabhupada mentions different things at different times.
Yes, he does.
In his books, he says one thing. In his walks, he says a different thing. So, the question I'm having is a little more. These type of leelas in our modern location and context where we are in the United States, and it's a primarily Christian, Judeo-Christian theological understanding. What kind of hope is there in sharing such miraculous theology with the local religion?
Lots of hope. Everything depends upon the trajectory, the spiritual acumen of the recipient. You and I are examples, and there's many Judeo-Christian background persons that it comes to the point of accepting a principle that is a Judeo-Christian principle, Lord God Almighty. Don't let us not place some limit to the unlimited. And then you go this direction, that direction, the other direction, and is it feasible? Yeah, the unlimited is unlimited. And not only unlimited, but all attractive. And that's a platform that makes it, for a Judeo-Christian background person to like it. Besides, everybody likes stories. It's a very likable story. It's a lovely story. And is it feasible? Yes. With that understanding. And then it kind of strains a little bit for some persons, but some persons really like it. They really like it. You want to add to this? Okay. Microphone? Go ahead. You got, I'm good.
A comment and a question, Guru Maharaj. We hear of so many examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam of devotees making mistakes and committing offenses. And it gives us a lot of hope. It's not just this, tapestry of perfection. To be able to see these devotees addressing themselves to their mistakes gives us a lot of hope to continue with the process of purification and harvest the gifts of our own imperfections. And in one sense, as conditioned souls, there's this tendency to hide our imperfections. Whereas in the Bhagavatam, even, pastimes like this, or where a wife might be approaching her husband at the wrong time, like these kind of pastimes are very openly discussed. And so a lesson for me is, with discretion, our vulnerability in sharing our imperfections, in applying the process of bhakti, can give hope to others.
If the recipient is wise, yes. If the recipient is not wise, they can think, oh my God.
Yes.
The opposite.
Yes.
Next.
And a question that arose for me, one of the slides said that in Vrindavan there is no hunger and thirst. And I just
No, mundane. This and that. And I was thinking as I was reading it, wait a minute, the demons come and, Krishna socks them. So, transcendental versus mundane.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have 3 strands of thought, or hopefully I can weave them together. One was yesterday we talked about, how there can be greed in the material world and how it is transformed in the spiritual world. So there is this perverted reflection that we see from the spiritual world to the material world. The second thought is when the Gopas were seated, they all saw Krishna like really, really close. They could see that he was right with them and nobody else. So I was wondering if there is a perverted reflection of that feeling, like Krishna is with me. Is there a reflection of that? The reason I'm asking is, whenever I hear this pastime, a certain incident comes to my mind that I experienced. And if I can quickly share what that was, I don't know if it matters, but
You want to know if it's okay to share the particular experience? No, that's not what you're asking. What are you asking?
Is there a perverted reflection of the feeling that
Yes.
Krishna is...
Yes. Yes. And then, poof, it's gone. It's called spurti. Krishna, this is in it's many places, but one of the places is Madhurya Kandambini. It's a standard term used in Gaudiya Vaishnava literature that unexpectedly, suddenly, much to the surprise of the individual, that the personality of Godhead appears. And it's not like it's their imagination or their mind, but he appears. I mean, it can be any one of those, and then some exchange, some discussion or something, and then poof, he's gone. And then the devotee wonders, what was that? Was I with dreaming? And, those kinds of things. Yes. It's got a term for it. And it's not always anyway, there's variations on the theme of. So Krishna can make himself available to others just at his will. Reflection.
There is something, perhaps I'll write to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Pass the microphone.
And another question.
Okay.
Regarding Lord Brahma's rasa, I recall in the third canto, I was seeing that he's taking the Sakyaras, shaking the Lord's hand. And then...
But not all Brahmas have that same rasa.
Right, so perhaps this discussion is related to different Brahmas.
Yes. Yes.
They're also at the beginning of Brahma Samhita. It seems he identifies himself in Madhurya Ras.
Mm-hmm.
So these are different Brahmas that we're talking?
Different days. Excuse me, not just different days. Different Brahmas, different universes. Yes.
Okay.
It's a standard Gaudiya Vaishnava explanation of discrepancy. It says this here and says that there. How do you sort it out?
Right. Like sometime in the books, Prabhupada says he's a pure devotee. In his conversation, he says he's not. So I guess this is a...
You get the last question.
Thank you.
The drum roll.
Thank you. It's been very nectarian, all these classes that you've given on Krishna Lila. Thank you very much for helping us in this path. And I wanted to ask that when Dhruva Maharaj sees the Lord, he came with material desires. He was a mixed devotee.
Big time.
Yes. And when he sees the Lord, it seems like he gets fully purified by seeing the Lord.
Well, and touched with the conch shell.
In touch with it. So what was the difference of his mood or approach from the demigods? The demigods, he saw Narayan, they see Krishna, and it seems like they don't get fully purified of the
because they're not absorbed. Like, look what Dhruva did. As they say, good Lord. The whole universe was air was not moving. He was as heavy as the universe. The earth was being pressed down, and etc. Standing on one leg. So it was amazing. He had full control of his mind and senses. And the demigod's not the same. Indra's got some problems with his mind and senses. Not the same. Say it again? Okay, read it slowly. You speak fast.
Is Lord Brahma offering service to Krishna to enhance his pastimes with Vrajavasis by acting in such a way under Krishna's illusory potency?
Well, this is the topic that we've been asking or mulling around a little bit. Yes and no. Yes, he's in the influence of the Yogamaya potency, and no, he lapses into forgetfulness and testing Krishna. What's the extent? And although he knows the Bhagavatam, he can build the universe, he can know Krishna's unlimited. So what's the unlimitedness of the unlimited? That's Maya. Is it Yoga Maya or Mahamaya? That's kind of what the question is. And one could take the position either way. This is the head wobble. Okay.
Texted a question.
Sumangala Mataji, give this young man the microphone.
How can a living entity can expand as each living entity is with one gross body? Basically, Brahma is a living entity. How can he be in two places? That's the question.
Do you understand the question?
Yes.
You understand the question.
Brahma is there. How is he also Haridas Thakur?
Oh, that answer to is he also some? Is that it?
Yeah.
It's an angsa of. Now, what's the technology, please? I don't know. I'd not heard an explanation. I'd heard anyone offer an explanation, and perhaps maybe, but it's an understanding that's within our Vaishnava, not just Gaudiya, but Vaishnava understandings, that exalted personalities have the capacity to expand, and as an angsa, not an equal expansion, but an angsa of themselves. How the technology works, I don't know, but that's an understood phenomena. If that's what her question is, it's an angsa of. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.